Starting off, I made some more Silksong Roblox accessories down below with the Bell Beast shoulder pad and hats. They're customizable and fit with any outfit, and if you like the game, this guy's a classic. Check it out and buy it if you like down below. What's up guys, it's Punchy, and today we're here with our weekly Deepwoken patch with some cool stuff to check out. Last week, we got next to nothing with some menu reworks, but on to this week. I'll do my best to test everything and break down all the new content, but as always, please hop in game and check it out for yourself. Make sure to like and subscribe so I can hit 120k, and let's get into it. Before even opening the game, we got an insane announcement and polls that straight up might save the game entirely. REWORK, a main dev who hardly talks publicly, sent out an announcement about the future of the game, and I'm really excited to see what they got. We have a new roadmap for the game of Deepwoken Verse 3 with a summarized timeline and possible events that will be happening. Right now it states that we're going to be starting off with the Authority Origin, which honestly is a massive shock since this was never teased. After that, we'll be moving into Holotide 2025, which was expected since it's a returning event, and finishing off Verse 3, we're going to have the Depths Layer 3. This is actually massive and I'm really hyped for that, but that's not all we have here. At the bottom of this chart, we can see faction origins coming like the Authority, Serenade Hollow changes which were teased in the past, the Vow of Iron, which is some sort of hardcore game mode, divergences, which are obtainable races or race variants, ship modules for combat, and finishing it off with new islands. I'm not saying the game is saved because nothing has actually happened yet, but with a formulated plan and public communications, this could be promising. It doesn't matter what happens, I'll still be around to see it through, and I'll keep making videos. Alright, let's hop in game. Kicking off this update with a major revert to mobility, everything new that happened to the movement of the game has been reverted, except it's been slightly improved. All sources of velocity have been reverted to the old system, which means movement is much more snappy instead of floaty. Water resistance and bobbing up and down has still been kept, hanging on ledges has been kept, and everything else has been changed back to the start, but it works a little bit better on boats now. This is great and was kickstarted by REWORK, who did a poll, and yeah, I'm really glad they're listening. Today, in this update, we received an entirely new rework to a monster that really wasn't a threat in the past. It's time to talk about the Watcher because they're insanely oppressive in this new update. I'm sure you've seen all of these guys before, but they exist in the depths and certain overworld locations essentially as stage hazards. In the past, they spotted players and spawned angels to track them down, but that was the extent of what they could do. You hid to avoid their line of sight, but the threat of angels was almost non-existent, but now it's time to kick things up a notch. For the most part, these guys look the same and move the same, but they now have a distinct audio cue that makes them feel more foreign and alien. Their spotting is the scariest part about them, but now it gets pretty deadly. Once spotting a player, the Watcher will charge up with their gaze, turning from white to red, and once it ramps up, it's time to deal with some nonsense. This red gaze slows players down heavily, gives constant insanity, spins their camera randomly, and it's pretty nuts. Alongside the angel spawning, all of these negative debuffs will happen consistently until you break line of sight. In the depths with other monsters around, this will probably get you wiped, so keep an eye out and don't get caught. I'm a big fan of these guys since they're finally worth hiding from and they exist as a threat. With further updates to boats in an attempt to prep them for future content, we got some new accessibility that makes travel feel much better. For starters, on boats, you'll notice that speeding up, slowing down, and even changing your sails is much faster and easier to do. Besides that, reversing on ships is much more maneuverable in any situation, and you know, it's much easier to adapt to where you're facing. Something cool about the new steering system is that the direction you're steering resets back to the center every couple seconds. You only have to press A or D, whatever your direction you're going, to correct the movement instead of holding it down. Everything about this is easier to use, and that's good. Talking about some balance, we got some highlights here to discuss, especially with the SILENTHEART Oath. This kit had a ton of nerfs, buffs, and overall changes, and they're very interesting to see. As a nerf bug fix, you are no longer able to parry during Relentless Hunt's windup, which is fair, since you're supposed to be locked in place. Additionally, move stacking Ankle Cutter and Mani Kadi just isn't possible anymore, and that cuts down some of the buggy jank with the move. Luckily, to boost resistance for SILENTHEART, Dread Stacks finally work on Oath and Attunementless Mantras, cutting down the output on fully stacked Silent Hearts. That's enough of the bug fixes, let's talk about the crazy changes. So, for starters, most Silent Heart skills are now feintable. Abilities like Mayhem, Relentless Hunt, and Rising Star are much easier to feint than others, and you do that with the same input as a mantra feint, and yeah, it's kind of the same. I'm not sure if Ankle Cutter is possible to cancel since you are mid-animation, but this grants insane mix-ups to Silent Heart as a whole. Besides this new capability, every single Silent Heart skill has more parry stun when defended, making these moves more punishable just like mantras. I think it's fair since the mix is kinda nuts now, and it works like a mantra. Every single Silent Heart move now deals true oath damage, which is crazy, but specifically for a few moves, they've also seen some changes by themselves. Relentless Hunt overall has seen a damage decrease and cooldown increase, nerfing most of the options overall, and for the heavy version, the movement is now more horizontal and less vertical. For Ankle Cutter, the cooldown has increased, making it less spammy, and its damage is fixed, no longer scaling with weapons. There's some smaller changes here and there to the other oath aspects, but I want to finish this off with Flow State. The new Flow State now has a longer cooldown and larger uptime to pull off, which is a nerf and a buff, but if you land a Flow State move, it resets Flow State's cooldown and you can do it again on a different move. This is kinda awesome if you snowball and get cooking with the oath, which might be huge for Silent Heart. Overall, there has been some major changes to how the oath works alongside some nerfs and buffs, but please leave your thoughts down below. Another really big balance change was the revert, or I guess the less harsh effects of using the shrine. In the past, after using the shrine and reducing your stats, the potency of certain talents would be less, and yeah, they scaled down based on how far your stats were from the requirements. In this update, if your stats are a little bit lower than the requirements, the downside is going to be less drastic and it's going to be less steep, which means it's pretty okay to use the shrine now. Overall, I'm a really big fan of this, and I do think the shrine scaling changes were a mistake, but this kind of solves some of the issues, and yeah, we voted on this with a poll and they listened. With my personal thoughts on this update, I think honestly it's a little bit lacking, and we only really got one piece of content, being that Watcher rework, but I think they did a lot to revert some of those mistakes with the balancing, with the mobility changes, and you know, Reguzer is here talking to the community and listening to us, which is a great step forward. Also, I'm pretty excited to see how that roadmap works out, and it looks like things are going to be happening before Holotide 2025, so they might be coming out soon. Wrapping things up for this update, that's all I gotta say for now. Please leave your thoughts down below about all this new content, and hop in game for weekly Battle Royale. The devs are always asking for feedback, and this helps them out. Thanks once again to all the supporters who motivate me daily and directly help out this channel. If you want to join as a member, go down below, but besides that, my personal Discord, Guild Discord, and my UGC group are all linked, so check them out. Thanks once again, and make sure to like and subscribe. It's punchin' time.